Hey there, Ken French of Vast Voice, telling business secrets to entrepreneurs. We're very, very happy you stopped by. Either you're going to watch this or listen to this because you want to take your business to the next level. You're probably an entrepreneur who's either just starting out or you've been around for quite a while and you want to take your business to the next level. You're probably a real estate investor, maybe even a real estate agent, maybe a professional or of some sort, professional advisor of some sort. And well, you are stopping by because you need some valuable advice from one of the top industry leaders there is. Anyway, thank you very much. Once again, Ken French, Vast Voice, telling business secrets to entrepreneurs. Really glad you stopped by.
You kids want to niche down? You've heard of niching down. This guy has succeeded in niching down to the most minute level. What's going on, Anthony?
What's going on? Thank you for having me.
We're hanging out with Anthony Karls. Man, has he niched down. He isn't only working with entrepreneurs. He isn't only working with lawyers. He's working with family lawyers. Yep. You heard me right. He's about the smallest market, but it's worked out. He's obviously very successful. We're going to learn a little bit more about him in just a few moments. But number one, I'm going to ask you one question. Why niche down and why does it work for you guys?
I think niching down and getting very specific in your marketplace gives you a bunch of advantages. I think you become way more efficient in the marketplace from a messaging perspective. Your operations become much more streamlined and effective. Hiring becomes easier because you're not trying to hire just anybody. You're trying to hire people that are passionate about what you're doing, and it's very clear what you're doing. So there's a ton of advantages to niching down.
All right, thank you very much. Let's get into that a little bit more. Real quickly, tell us about you, your firm, and what it is that you guys do and how you add value. So this will help some of our solopreneurs who are out there, I can tell.
Sure. So I'm the president of Rocket Clicks. We are a digital ad agency and growth consultancy for family law firms. So we own and operate our own family law firm, has about 98 employees, 32 attorneys in multiple states here in Wisconsin and Illinois. And out of that, we transitioned our agency to work very specifically with family law firms from paid search advertising, SEO, web design, sales automation, data and analytics, as well as some leadership and people management pieces.
So you're kind of a cheater. And what do I mean by that? Lawyers aren't good with marketing. So if there's a lawyer A and lawyer B, and the B is doing the marketing, he or she is going to succeed much more than A. So yeah. I can only figure out how much better you're doing than lawyer A. That's pretty awesome because you have a marketing bent. So, because I do have a lot of people who ask us here at vastsolutionsgroup.com, should we niche down? Because we do some business consulting, and I say it depends on the circumstances, but it's worked for you. So tell us a little bit about the trials and tribulations and kind of the end result for niching down.
Sure. So it's kind of a fun story, or it's a fun story to tell. It wasn't a fun story to live through.
Yeah.
So when we opened, we did not niche down right away. We were a general practice law firm. We grew really fast, but we were super average. Didn't have great customer service scores. We didn't feel like we were accomplishing something we were proud of in the marketplace. And about 18 months in, after we launched, we scaled the business back pretty significantly. So we refunded 60% of our clients. We trimmed our staff by half, all in one 30-day period. And in that was February of 2015, I believe. Yeah, 15. In 2014, we did about 1.3 million. In 2015, after doing all of that, we still did 1.3 million. The next year we did 3. The year after that, we did 6. Then we did 9, and we just kept scaling after that. And it's because we got so good at one thing, and we could just continue to do it over and over and over again and grow our market share, grow our territories. And we got really good at recruiting, developing attorneys, building call centers and intake teams, building our infrastructure from a technology perspective. Everything got easier because we were just doing one thing.
Because your systems are oriented towards that specific niche, that being family law. I get it. I totally get it. So then, by the way, how does someone get a hold of you if someone's interested in your services, first of all?
Sure. Just rocketclicks.com, and you can reach us there. You can also see us on our podcast Revenue Roadmap that we produce twice a week.
All right. I'm kind of slow and I'm a bad speller. How do you spell that? Rocket Clicks?
ROCKET, and then clicks, CLICKS.com, rocketclicks.com.
Sweet. I'm again talking to Anthony Karls. So I'm going to ask a few more questions. I'm inquisitive, by the way. You're not getting paid in any way for this. I'm just asking questions, although you should get paid for answering all my stupid questions. So then at the same time, so you've niched down, work with attorneys. So have you ever thought about, and I'm just playing devil's advocate, of maybe going into bigger other firms, let's say, or types of firms, let's say, whatever, consulting with taxes as a tax specialist, as an example? Do you think that would be a good market? Or who knows, maybe even marketing to other bigger groups?
So I think there's opportunities there. And I think the cost benefit we've always weighed is what's the cost of adding a new territory? And we have like a very clear process for that versus creating a whole new system for intake calls, creating and processing forms, hiring people that are passionate about that. So like the costs of branching out has always significantly outweighed. Let's just go to the next territory over, because we just continue to run the same playbook over and over again and continue to grow. So it's, the cost benefit of that has become more and more clear. When we were smaller, it was very hard to be disciplined. As we grew, it became easier and easier, because now it's like, yeah, we could add that, but like, it's probably, if we wanted to go into another area of law, we want to pick something that's consumer law, and we probably want to pick something that would draft off of families, but we would probably want to acquire a business that did specifically that, and then worked with their team to kind of do the exact same thing that we were doing at Sterling Lawyers with that new firm, and kind of build out criminal, or build out estate planning, or build out a different practice type.
Got it. Yep. Clear answer. So, all right, here's one for you. Let's say, and I haven't prepped you in any way. I don't like prepping people. I like just going from the cut. Let's say I'm a family attorney, and I'm making gross, let's say $2 million. I have no marketing, all word of mouth, and I want to go to $4 million, and I got a couple of bucks for marketing, right? Whatever a couple of bucks is. Let's say it's 10%. I don't know, of my budget, my gross budget. What would you suggest for me to take it to the next level and hit my $4 million goal?
So we would want to, first, we want to make sure you're investing the right amount. So this is something that we kind of have a formula for. So we know that 68% of your budget should go towards marketing. We want to implement that and first get you a really good stream of organic.
Sorry, time out. What do you mean 68%? I like that number. 68%.
6 to 8% of your revenue.
6 to 8. My bad. Sorry. Go ahead. My bad.
So what we'd want to do first is get you a really good stream of organic traffic. The first thing we'd want to focus on is local. So in a local marketplace, when there's a map present in search results, typically, or the data we have shows that there's about 42% of the traffic in that is going to interact with that map, which is a huge portion. Then you're going to get another 8 to 12% in the first 3 listings in organic, and it really falls off. So we want to focus there first, because that becomes an annuity for you. And then you can start going up funnel and do paid advertising and doing some more stuff with that. And that's how you would want to continue to grow. I wouldn't start with paid. Your funnel probably isn't that great. From a website perspective, the benefit of starting with organic is the difference between a referral lead and a non-referral lead is significant, and you need to train your call center on how to intake that customer, sell on value. They don't know you. They found you on the internet after a couple visits through a couple different channels, and now they're calling you for the first time. You better have a good impression. And that's very different than, my grandma referred me to you, and I'm just going to go with you because I trust my grandma.
Yeah. I get it. All right. So, nice answer. Look at you. Anthony's thinking on his feet. All right. What about this then? Okay. So help me with my organic leads, or I guess funnel. Well, let's say I have a bad. Yeah. Let's say I'm a typical $2 million grossing attorney in family law. I have bad social media, or zero social media. That's even better. What would you suggest to help me with that organic?
On social or on search?
Oh, my bad. Good point. Search.
On search. So what we want to first establish is, what's your future plan? Are you going to be a single location business in perpetuity, or do you want to be a multi-location business?
Well, let's say I'm single. I'm a typical attorney who's a solopreneur.
So I challenge you on that because you told me you want to grow.
It did got me. Yeah.
So, but if that's the route we want to take, that's an important decision point to make, because a multi-location business has to set their website up differently than a single location business. And from there, what we would want to do is make sure that you are present in all what we call the data aggregators. And those are all of the systems like Axiom, Factual. There's a whole bunch there's about 7 of them that feed the rest of the internet your information. We want to make sure that's accurate. Secondly, we're going to go to citations and build out your NAT profile, which is your name, address, phone number. Make sure that's exists and is consistent across all the different places. We actually have like a checklist on this. We give this all away for free on our website at rocketclicks.com. So if you want to see how are you doing, just go download the sheet and check your stuff. Because this is like one of the easiest things to do. It's also one of the most boring things to do because it's not fun. It's just tedious. But
the return is great by doing it. There's no doubt about that, especially with the NAP. Yeah.
So that's where we would want to start. That's going to give you a really good base for your locations. It's going to help you rank in the map. And then from an internal linking perspective on your website, where we're linking your site from, where all the inbound links are going to come through, we're going to strategically start distributing link equity so that we can start ranking for some of those more long tail terms, and then generate more traffic in that, like I said, 12 to 8% organic.
Yeah. Once again, go to rocketclicks.com to, I think you said download, or at least go to the website and you can get a bunch of resources there from the sound.
Yeah. We got a couple of grading sheets that you can kind of do on your own.
Very nice. All right. So I'm going to continue to ask some questions. So let's just say then, let's say I want to now do, because you said first you have to do organic, which I think that probably makes sense. And then secondarily, purchase ads. So what would that look like then?
So if you're going to lean into paid ads, the thing that we lean into the most is how your data infrastructure is set up. A lot of all of the ad platforms use machine learning nowadays, machine learning and AI. So if you're not feeding good data back into the platforms, they're going to just optimize for whatever you tell them to optimize for. So our opinion is the minimum viable product, but it's probably like a C- if you're going to grade it on an A to F scale, is phone calls and web leads. The best is you go down funnel and if you have enough data, like at Sterling, what we do is we feed back to the platforms all the users that got a quote. So we get about 100 leads a day. We track them through the funnel. We tag them with the different correct tagging mechanisms in our CRM. And when they get to the quote stage, they actually receive a quote. Well, then we send that data back to Google ad platform or Meta ad platform. And those platforms can then target users that look like that users that converted. And you're going to get a significantly higher return on ad spend, and cut out a lot of the waste, because a lot of what you're getting if you just do phone calls and web leads is there's a lot of junk in there that you don't really want to optimize for. An example in family law is you're going to get a whole bunch of calls if you do that for child support stuff. Those are not cases that a lot of people want to take because there's not a lot to do on them, and they're typically just straightforward. So they're just wasting your dollars and your team's time. Versus if you do what I'm talking about here, a lot of that traffic will get weeded out because it's not the data you're sending back to the platforms. So you're going to get a better, higher quality conversion. And instead of having paid ads kind of live up to like what people think it's just a waste of money, you're going to see it get you return, but it's because your data is integrated correctly.
Yeah, I didn't get that, but that's why you get paid the big bucks. I guess if anyone has any questions, they could go to your website and you could apply the answer. But I think that was pretty big, but I didn't get it. Anyway, I guess that shows my limited scope of knowledge of anything. But anyway, okay, so we're getting pretty far down this. I'm liking this. I think this is going to add some value for some listeners out there, and viewers, not only for if they're at a law firm, if they're in any industry. This is some pretty good value. I appreciate it.
Yeah.
So all right. So then let's say, let's say I now have. Overall, what percent? You mentioned 6 to 8%, but overall, let's say I'm $4 million. I'm down the road and I'm making $4 million my goal. How much money should I be spending on marketing at that point after I've kind of hit my goal, if you will? But of course, I'm going to then want to go to 8 million. But you know what I mean?
Yeah, we're going to tell you should stay at that 6 to 8% range.
Oh, overall,
your marketing should stay there, and you can optimize up or down for it a little bit, obviously. And then your intake or sales team, That should not cost you more than like 2 to 4%. And like that's your total sales and marketing budget that you should look at. And that's going to give you tons of it's going to give you the opportunity to get a really good return without breaking your budget. So, we get a lot of clients in that'll say, I have a 400% return on ad spend. We always tell them like that means 25% of every dollar is literally going to marketing. And that's just the media costs. That doesn't include the management. It doesn't include your sales team. You have no margin to be profitable at that point. We're basically asking us to help you go out of business faster. We need to get this to at least 8 to 1200%. Then that's where the 6 to 8% comes from. Because that, if you reverse engineer that, you can. That's I think it's 1233% is the number if you kind of do the reverse math on 6%.
Holy mackerel. So, okay, let's have so what you're saying is, oh, wow. Okay. I like the math on that. And I like what you're suggesting. I mean, it totally makes sense. That means somehow you're adding some true value if you could bring in that exponential of a rate of return,
Yeah. And it gives you, you're going to have margin to, you're going to have, we like to see clients have their cost of service, under 50%, typically towards 45. Then you have a 55% gross margin and only 6 to 8% spent on marketing. So you got plenty for HR, plenty for executive, plenty for everything else in the organization. Plus you're going to have a profit margin. So like you're actually going to create a business that's got value, that's saleable, versus just a job that you want. Because that's a lot of times what we see.
Systems. I mean, systems make money for entrepreneurs, not them working in the business.
Right.
There's a big difference. Systems equal passive revenue. Therefore, instead of getting, let's say 2.2 times revenue, maybe you get 3.3 times revenue because it's a system and you could sell it. They're not based on your personality, your work. It's the system that you're selling. That's really smart. All right. So then what about this? So let's just say, going back to my social media, I assume you guys do social media. Let's say it's like typical attorney and it's kind of a joke. No offense, attorneys out there. You guys do that, it sounds like. So how can you add value in that regard as well?
So what we do is we come up with a content plan. So when we build out organic, we have I think it's 383 different pages that we would like to see on a website. And they're all different types and subcategories of content. We also organize that from how should we start creating social content. Well, the way we think about content marketing is the different methods to communicate the same thing, right? So like a podcast is a method to communicate the same thing. A website page, a video on YouTube, an audio file, an image file. Those are all different content mediums. So what we want to do with that list of content ideas that we want you to be represented on is how do we then give you a script, have you talk about it, you record it, and then we edit it and produce it and publish it on your behalf, create long form, short form, reels, all that stuff. So it's real easy for the lawyers. Basically all they need to do is get on Squadcast or Google Meet or Zoom or something and record themselves talking about a topic, record an intro, record a hook, record an outro, record the meat of the content, and then we'll take it from there. That way it's just easy for them. All they have to do is just be the talking head. Don't try to be everything.
Got it. So you guys do actually the work. You're the foot soldier to getting the work done versus saying, hey, Mr. and Mrs. Attorney, you do the work. You're actually, your group is being the outsourced in that regard.
Yeah.
Got it. All right. And by the way, again, you're not being paid for this. This is just for educational purposes for all those people out there. But if they are interested, again, they could go to rocketlawyer.com to get information and some resources off your website. Once again, this is Ken French with Fast Voice, telling business secrets to entrepreneurs. We're hanging out with Anthony Karls, who's helping us to get really smart, who's niche down and has been astronomically successful in what he's done in that regard. So tell me a little bit about this. Tell me a little bit about a little bit more about your firm, because I looked at your website, really impressive what you guys have done. Tell me a little bit about what your firm, your culture, and how you have put the work in to equal that culture.
Are you talking about the law firm or the ad agency?
Sorry, the ad agency.
Yeah. So the way I describe the ad agency is, I guess the way I typically put it is, if you've ever seen the Tom Brady documentary about how he was an extraordinarily high performance, high driven individual. There's a lot of toxicity there. I cut the toxicity out. And basically, that's the same culture. So we're very competitive. We want to be the best. We push each other really hard. We work in an agile framework. So agile kind of gives you the ability to create self-led teams so that the cream rises to the top and then they get to lead the team, even though they're really just peers. And it's very collaborative, but a very high performance culture that we have a lot of high standards and high level of accountability. In my opinion, marketing can either be the tip of the spear for a business, or it can be a vestigial organ you want to cut off if you're not good. And like, I'd prefer to be the tip of the spear. So that means high standards, high level of execution.
Yeah, I'm kind of embarrassed now that I hear you say it. I'm kind of embarrassed to admit this, but for years I didn't want to do any marketing, only word of mouth. And I'm embarrassed to say, I'm totally being very frank, and it's the wrong way to go about business, because I think business is two things really: R&D, research and development, and marketing or sales. And there's not much over and above that really. And without you can have the greatest product, greatest service, but if you're not out there telling people about it and converting them, you're going to be all alone out in the Sahara Desert. You know what I mean?
Yep.
Marketing, especially now with artificial intelligence, which I'm going to ask you about in just a few moments, I think that it's vital to get the word out there, what it is you do, and then also be able to convert, Okay. So speaking of artificial intelligence, I think you probably know that, we have been doing artificial intelligence here since 2018. Really, we started in 2010 here at vastsolutionsgroup.com. We knew it was going to impact, humanity, but really, the marketplace and whatever market we're talking about. So how have you guys adopted artificial intelligence in that regard in the marketing world, or even the law firm world? Think about it.
Yeah, in both, it's been a huge boon. So on the law firm side, we've created a bunch of our own internal agents that do things. So like, we have one that if the call doesn't get answered by our internal team, you actually talk to a chat agent that takes your name and information and callback stuff directly from you, and then we'll do the callback. Same thing with we got a really cool inbox agent that really helps the attorneys, family law attorney with a full caseload. They get a lot of emails that they have to respond to every single day. So that's been a huge help for our team. So we haven't, in family law, you don't get like the piles and piles of discovery where AI can be helping us think through that. If we did, we would probably use it for that, but that's not really a part of our practice. On the marketing side, it's amazing for research. We love to do sentiment analysis for customers as they come in, because they might think they appear one way in the marketplace and the reality is something different. AI is really good at that. We leverage it for so we have a tool that we use that tells us how relevant you are to a particular topic, so your entity. So it allows you to see what percentage relevancy out of a scale of 1 to 100 am I for, like, if we were to do this for Rocket Clicks, am I for family law marketing experts? It can then tell me, here's our score, here's all the things that are hurting our score, and here's where we can improve those. It's changed the way you have to think about doing SEO, because you should really be doing everything optimization, not just search engine optimization. And it's kind of it's an interesting, it feels to me, I've been doing SEO for a long time, it feels to me like a flashback to early Google, but smarter version of it, where you need to get a lot of offsite references, but they need to be calibrated against what's present on your site. So like, there's a lot of, I generally just call it PR. Like, we need to get back into general PR and get mentioned by authoritative places. But it doesn't have to be links. It's different for AI. And I think that's
totally different, isn't it? Yeah.
So it's fun. It's a new puzzle. Search engine optimization was honestly getting a little boring and tedious with like the volume of information and the limited changes that were actually happening. AI is kind of giving it some more life and excitement, in my opinion.
I'm sure it's keeping you really busy. And by the way, you mentioned some of the artificial intelligence things. By the way, I should note that a lot of artificial intelligence that it sounds like you're doing could get research credits or R&D credits, research and development credits from either the federal or state government. So at least look into that if you haven't. If you're sounds like
Yeah,
you are.
we haven't looked at that. That's interesting.
Once again, kind of French adding value, kid. What about this? So let's get ready to close up shop. What's one thing we have talked about or we have not talked about that you think can add value to, let's say, a solopreneur, either an attorney, let's just say a family practice attorney, who would be watching or listening? What's one thing that you can add value as far as marketing goes for them?
As far as marketing goes, I think probably the most underutilized asset you have is your website. And what I mean by that is there are so many websites that as we come on, they're so poorly optimized for speed and for mobile that people don't really realize how much of the traffic that they're earning, whether through paid or just, organic or earned media, they're losing because the page doesn't load fast.
Yeah.
Like it's like the easiest thing to do. But so many people don't do it, and they like obsess over how does it look on my desktop because I'm a lawyer and I work on my computer all day, when it's like 78% of users now that are coming to your website they're coming on the mobile device. And if that thing doesn't load quick, they're bouncing to the next one. And it's often so overlooked and so easy, and its ability to just fix that and you'll see your leads go up is pretty incredible.
And that's what it's about. It's about leads. I mean, your website really is, it's the beginning of the funnel.
Yeah, it's your storefront.
Even if you're doing Google My Business or whatever the case is, they're going to end up, hopefully, at least in your website, and then it's what you do afterwards. And it sounds like you have that, that machine to be able to turn it on to optimize. Now, I mean, the organic leads, the paid leads, the website. Sounds like you have a total package, and it's interesting. I was kind of kidding around, tongue in cheek a little bit, playing devil's advocate about niching, but I think niching makes sense. It's made sense for us, although we don't niche as much as you, but it's totally made sense.
Yeah, it's been great. Appreciate it.
Yeah. One last time, how does someone get a hold of you if they're interested in learning about Rocket Clicks?
Yep. So if you just go to rocketclicks.com, that's ROCKETCLICKS.com. Be happy to talk.
Anthony Karls, dude, you're the man. I really appreciate you being here. And for you listening, watching out there, once again, Ken French, Vast Voice, telling business secrets to entrepreneurs. Thanks, everybody.